What's going on, everybody? This is Clark Beckham, season 14 runner-up of American Idol, and we're diving into episode 3 today. Let's go. Interesting thing about this episode is I enjoyed it quite a lot, and I don't think there was near as much talent as the first 2 episodes, but I still enjoyed the show and I enjoyed the contestants. It's an interesting show. We'll get into it. First, we have Cecil Ray. This guy's got quite a childhood. Lost his friend to suicide at age 11. The very next year, he lost his brother to suicide. And then the very next year, he lost his uncle almost to the month. But all you were getting from him was positivity, excitement, light, which I really enjoy. It's really encouraging and comforting, and inspiring is a better word for it. Seems comfortable with the camera in his face, which is ideal if you're going to be on a show like this. Flips his hair constantly. I mean constantly, like hard.
So tell us.
I like what you do with your hair.
He sang Talkin' Tennessee. I hadn't heard this song myself before, but it was really soulful. The guitar player, I think the guy's name is Fred. I like him more and more every episode. But there were major 7s in here, and I'm thinking, if this is a country song, you don't hear major 7 chords in country songs. This is a major 7 chord. Usually hear just straight chord, but this is a major 7 chord. And I kept hearing these chords. It's usually in jazz-inspired music, but I kept hearing it. He sang really well. He gave me the idea that he could do soul country that has runs all over it, and he seemed like he had good control. For some reason, when I was just recording the audition to have on this video for my reaction to it, I was less impressed than I was last night. So we'll see if he can stand with the monsters of the first 2 episodes that made it through, or if he's going to get kind of pushed to the wayside once Hollywood comes. I'm afraid that's probably going to be the reality, but I really enjoyed him, and I really did enjoy his singing in his audition. I thought he was great. The judges were trying to keep him still, and at first I was like, don't keep him still. I mean, it's a good problem to have. Like, just as long as it's natural, as long as he feels it, just go for it. You know, let him loose. Be a lunatic. Go crazy. As long as it's coming from a place that's real and genuine, go for it. But when I rewatched the audition, he was moving a lot. I mean, he was just like here, then here, then here. He would like back up away from his mark and come closer, and then he was doing a lot. So I get it. I'm just going to defer to the judges. I didn't like the snap so much. He's not a good snapper, which, you know, he wasn't prepared to snap for this audition. He's prepared to sing, and he did that very well. Next, we have Samantha Sharp. She came in with her family, and they sang this Frozen 2 song and like nailed it. And it was just very adorable. And then she auditioned. Huge voice, powerhouse vocal, nothing super special for me. It was great, nothing wrong with it. I just don't know if she's gonna make it very far standing next to the powerhouses of episodes 1 and 2. People like Casey Bishop, Annalie, Amanda Mina, I don't think she's gonna quite make it far enough with them singing next to her. A little bit cheesy to me too. You could tell she's sung a cappella with her family, and there's a little bit of that performance-y stuff that's a little cheesy to me. But she's got a great voice. Next, we have Graham DeFranco. I like Graham. I think he's funny and personable and real, and I just think he's a really funny guy. He reminds me, I don't know why, but I just feel like he could be a stand-up comedian. He just doesn't even necessarily say anything brilliantly funny. He's just I'm happier when he's talking and when the camera's on him. I just like him. Started to sing, and he's got a really soft, sweet voice. Tone is really pretty, airy when it needs to be, thicker when it needs to be. He was someone that I noticed didn't have any powerhouse show-stopping moments or attempts for notes in the song, but he didn't need it. His weapon was fully his voice and the way that it sounded and the way that he just sang. Luke said he had one of the most listenable voices that they've heard. You hear people say you could sing the phone book. That's kind of what I'm getting from him. He doesn't need to do runs. He doesn't need to do high notes. He just needs to sing, and that's what he did, and he did it well. He did struggle a little bit on the very top. He didn't necessarily falter, but I could tell that he had reached his ceiling. He's not going higher than that, I don't think. And I'm not sure if we're ever going to get powerhouse notes from him, but I don't think we need to. Tom McGovern is next, the jingle writer. He writes this song about the audition. It's very tongue-in-cheek and clever and cool. I think Katy might have gotten a little salty about the bottom teeth line, but I don't know. Actually, Katy's probably my favorite judge so far this season. I think she takes things really well, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she didn't take that note offensively, but I thought it was kind of bold. Like, oh, you're gonna talk about how the judge has crooked teeth on her bottom row. Like, oh, even me just saying that, like, I was like, oh, I don't want to say that. What if Katy watches this at some point? And like, but he was right there in front of her and sang the song and was like, you have crooked teeth on the bottom. Now, again, he said, like mine, and then showed his, and he said crowded, which is a nicer way to say crooked. But he's like mine, and then showed his bottom teeth, and was like, C minor too. And she was like, yippee. Katy Perry, someone who is beautiful, puts on a lot of cool clothes and makeup, and a lot of it is about presentation for her, which is awesome. And then you got the contestant talking about her crowded bottom row of teeth. Whew, I'm literally nervous saying it. Just saying what he said makes me nervous, and I wasn't even there in the flesh in front of her. Anyway, he didn't make it. He didn't really have a place. I wonder if he thought he was going to make it. I don't know. It was a nice little moment, I guess. Mary Jo Young, quirky, funny, natural, nervous, but everything I see, I feel like is the real her. She's got quite a following on TikTok, over 250,000 followers as of yesterday. She started to sing. She's got a lot to her voice. She's got a lot of variety in her vocal tool belt. The way she shapes vowels, the way she can growl, the way she can go hard, the way she can go soft, the way she caresses the notes. She sounds like a pop singer. Like, she sounds ready to go. And with all of these tools that she can pull out, that she does pull out, she's really good at using them to elicit emotion, and everybody feels it. Everybody feels it. She did have some pitch issues when there were quick intervals, note changes in the song. She kind of got lost, but she pulled it out and still did pretty good. But that is something to think about, and an issue that needs to be fixed. She says something like, I've never sung in front of my mom or something like that, and they're like, okay, cool, we're gonna bring her in and we're gonna fix that right now, which I'm thinking, awkward. There's a reason she hasn't sung in front of her mom, and now you're asking her to just look at her mom. Comes in and she just turns and stares at her mom and sings. That's awkward. And that's what I thought at the beginning, but then her mom was getting emotional, and I was like, okay, I like this moment. She goes through with flying colors. Top 10, says Luke. You know, Luke says top 10 to a lot of people. My mom actually mentioned this, and she's keeping a number and finding out like all the people that he said top 10 to. And we're going to find out not only how accurate he is, but if he accidentally says top 10 to more than 10 people, because then that would be wrong. But I think it's a good bet that she really could be in the top 10. Then we had a trio of auditions, just 3 auditions shown pretty close together. We had Xavier Washington, Celeste Butler, and Zach Zucarno. To me, they were playing over the best part of Xavier's audition. I could hear him doing runs, but it was in the background, and he was talking over it, which is, if you remember from last season, is a huge pet peeve. And then they showed him, and he did this really, really high note. Wasn't as clean as it needed to be. I wasn't that impressed. Celeste, I didn't get a lot from her, but what I did, I wasn't really into either. And then same thing with Zach. He had a good feel on the guitar, but his voice was okay. I wasn't really a fan of either 3 of these people, but to their defense, we only got tiny little snippets of them. So we'll have to see what happens in Hollywood Week. Christian McGuckian. This one's interesting. She comes in and she's really nervous. And let me just say, when you're nervous like that, there's nothing that can stop your nerves. There's just nothing. If your nerves are gonna calm down, it's gonna happen before you walk into the room. You're nervous and then you walk into the room and then you see them and you're extra nervous. It's very nice of the judges to say, like, take a deep breath in, relax, shake those nerves out. It's very kind. I promise you, it does nothing. It does nothing to calm nerves. And then when Katy says, listen, we want you to know we're all here for you and we all want you to do better, which again is really sweet and really nice. And in general, I really loved how the judges handled her audition. But just so you know, it doesn't help her nerves probably at all. When Katy's like, we're all here for you. She's like, I realize you're all here for me. I'm just terrified. I know you want me to do well. I want me to do well, and that's why I'm nervous. So she's a nervous wreck. She starts singing, struggling quite a bit. She's got random notes in there that are really nice that you can tell that there is absolute genuine potential there. But she's struggling with pitch. She's not doing so great. She hits a couple little runs in there, shows you she has control. This might just be nerves. Like if nerves were gone, she might be wonderful at just singing perfectly. But one of the things you got to be able to do is sing really, really, really well with a lot of nerves. Because I still have nerves when I perform sometimes. And you're going to be in situations you're going to be really nervous, and then you have to perform well while you're nervous. And if she doesn't have that trait yet, then I don't think she's quite ready. The moment she finished and the judges started to critique her, she started crying big tears, was pretty upset. Personally, I didn't think any of it was put on. I think it's a big emotional moment, and she just started crying. Judges were saying that she really struggled with time. I didn't notice it myself in the first, but again, they're pros. Let me just say that. Anytime I go against the judges or think that they're wrong, let me just make sure we all know they are pros, all three of them. All three of them are really, really good at what they do. Not just successful, very talented and very experienced and very good. So they know what they're talking about. I didn't notice she had a time issue, but when they said she had a time issue, she's clearly got a time issue for them to bring it up like that, which is a big, big deal. And this often happens with bedroom performers. This is when you don't have a lot of experience playing with other people or playing out in public, but you just sit in your bedroom and you sing and you play by yourself. This was a major struggle for me. Tempo was and still is sometimes, a major struggle for me. So I totally understand, because you're just in your room, you don't have a drummer, you're just playing and singing, or you're just singing a cappella. You don't have a band behind you when you're by yourself in your room. That's where you get all your hours in. Time never seems to be an issue. You're not singing with a metronome, because that's a drag. And then you go out to perform, keeping time, and you've never really done that before, and now you have a habit that you've got to fix. So it's fixable. I mean, she can absolutely handle it, and if she just really practiced with the metronome for a month, it'd be handled. It'd be fixed. But the judges are seeming like they're saying no. She's crying. I think that influenced them a little bit. And then I gotta say, I love what the judges did, and I love how they handled it, how they just started walking around and talking and just being kind of frivolous and cavalier and go ahead, sing it again. I got a girl crush. Yeah, you do. I actually loved it. It seemed so genuine to me, so real. I think they saw themselves in her, that nervous wreck that we've all been at certain times if we're performers, especially if there's a big audition or a big opportunity for us. And they were just trying to make her feel more comfortable. I think it worked a little bit, made themselves seem a little bit more human. I actually really loved what they did and how they treated her audition. They sit down, she's crying, and I can tell she's like, I'm sorry, please ignore the fact that I'm crying. I'm okay. And they end up letting her through. And I'm okay with it. I don't think they should have let her through, but they did, and I'm not super mad about it, because Luke said something that's true. She's real country. A lot of people come in and put on accents when they sing, and then they talk afterwards. They don't have an accent. They're imitating what they've seen, but she's real, genuine country, and she has absolute potential and a real gift underneath those nerves. I hope someone pulled her aside and said, from now till Hollywood Week, sing with a metronome. Get an app on your phone that keeps time and sing with the metronome. Get a vocal coach if you need to help you, whatever you got to do. Because that is a very fixable problem, very fixable. And if she continues in the show, these nerves will kind of start to fall away. She'll get used to it and she'll get the hang of it. We'll see what happens. And this brings us to our third Lionelism of the season. When you win, you win. When you lose, you learn. Thank you. Honestly, I'm being silly, but it's true. ALANIS SOPHIA. She starts the song pretty low. The key is pretty low, and she seems a little too far down in her range. And I'm not getting a lot of great quality from her voice. She sounds fine, but it seems low, which typically tells me, hopefully, there's a big note that they're actually setting the key for and letting everything else just kind of be what it is. And that was the case here. She does a repetitive run on listening, and it seems pretty planned. It's a little scoop, 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 run, and she does it a couple times.
Nobody's listening.
Seems pretty rehearsed. Now, you rehearse runs. That's what you're supposed to do. You plan runs. Always tell people, don't just fling yourself down the stairs. Make sure you know where every single step is when you do a run. I don't think it came from her heart. I think it came from her head or somebody else's head. But not something to be super critical about, just something I noticed. When she got on with the bigger notes, really strong. She seems personable, likable. I think she's gonna do pretty well. Next we have Mias. He said his name was Jeremiah, and then it said Mias. I guess he goes by Mias, but it was never said, so maybe it's Mias, maybe it's Mias. He sings Simple Man, had the big notes in the chorus, weren't very well supported, they're pretty yelly. The judges said, find the missing part of your voice, find the smoke, is what Katy said, which I don't know if that was a play on his career as a fireman. I hope not, because that's cheesy. But they said there's something missing and he's so close and there's this missing part of his voice. Honestly, I don't think so. I just don't think he's got it at all, which is okay. I just don't think singing is his career. Lionel says there's a lot in there. I didn't hear it. I don't think he does have anything missing. I just don't think he's a great singer and doesn't have a career in music, which is fine. He took it very well, very honorable. Next we have Timmy Skelly. This one's tough for me because Timmy's actually a student of mine and we've been working together prepping for this very audition. And I've got to tell you, he's probably the best singer of anyone on the whole season next to Casey, Amanda, Annalie. Like he's right there with all of them. And it really hurt to see that all they showed was him singing My Funny Valentine with his mom. Sweet moment. I'm glad they showed it. I wish they would have showed his other stuff because I personally know that he at least had prepared more things to sing and he's a freaking monster. I just got to be honest with you, and I was expecting something more like this.
Girl, it's only you. Have it your way. And if you want, you could decide.
And he probably did it, but they didn't show it, which makes me nervous because a lot of times if someone's really awesome and they don't end up making it very far in the show, they might show them, but they don't want America to fall in love with them too much because they're not going to make it all the way. So they won't let America fall in love with them. And they do that by not showing their best stuff. They didn't trash them. They didn't show bad stuff. They just withheld the really good, gritty stuff. Perhaps. I wasn't there in the room. I don't know what he did, but I know him personally and he's a student of mine and he's a monster singer. Be looking for him. Next we have ERIKA Perry. I love this moment. Love this audition. She comes in, she is extra to the extra degree. She's talking about how much she loves Ryan. I think she writes him a little note. She's got this train, you got this great giant wardrobe thing going on. She comes in like, Katy, we've got a train too. And she's a lot. And then she sits down at the guitar and starts to sing. I actually like her and I'm totally into what she's singing immediately. The awkward moment when the crazy girl sings really, really well and is a beast. Luke was kind of saying, is this in English? Like, is this in, because it's Katy's song. So he's asking her, he's like, are there English words in this song? And then I'm listening. Yeah, she's not really pronouncing her words very well. I don't know what she's saying. I don't. But I like the sound. And typically I don't like when people sing weird. I don't know how to say it. Just the vowels are different. Typically I'm not a fan of that. But I was down. I was into it. Then she stops and let me tell you about Prophetess Katy Perry. Katy just, she's got that little special Jesus sauce. People call it discernment. She straight up was like, I understand that sometimes I wear all this extra stuff because I still don't feel like I'm enough. Homegirl, woo! Immediate tears. Immediately, you saw those walls of, look at me, oh my gosh, Ryan, I found my true love, it's Ryan Seacrest, and look at my train, and everybody, da da da. All those walls immediately torn down. Immediately. And you saw her completely right when Katy called that out. And it's the power of truth. Truth will set you free. It's truth. The Greek word for truth in the Bible is aletheia, which means unhidden. This moment of unhiddenness erupts from her when Katy calls her out with that word of truth. that she relates to. In that moment, she was crying not because Katy said yes, but because Katy just dropped that word on her. Katy could have easily just been, oh my gosh, get this girl out of here. I'm the diva of the show. I have the fancy clothes. Get her out of here. But she didn't. I think she related to her and she walked through this whole process with her. They gave her really honest critique about the extra weird things that she does with her voice. And she's going through. I loved this moment. This might have been my favorite part of the whole show. Katy needs an organ behind her when she talks sometimes. She's got the ghost. She's got it. Hunter Metz from Franklin, Tennessee, which is in my area of living near Nashville. It's just south of Nashville. Really unique voice. Stud of a dude. Looks great. Charming. Seems genuine. Very likable. Really unique voice. Right when he started singing, I could hear his album. I could hear his tour. I could hear and see his fans. I got like immediately, I could see his niche and how he could totally be a very successful singer and an artist. Like Graham DeFranco, he doesn't hit any big powerhouse notes, but he doesn't need to. His weapon is the sound of his voice. It's unique and it's cool and it's working. Katy and Luke both say top 10. Add another person who's supposed to make it to the top 10. That's a top 10 is thin. There are a lot of good singers. Top 10 is going to be tough this year, but I get it. I think that makes sense to me too. The last audition of the day they give to Rhonda Felton. In the previews and the commercials, I had seen American Idol pushing this as, quote, it's one of the most moving moments in Idol history. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what is the story? I'm gonna be a wreck. She spent a lot of her life homeless with her mom, living in shelters, couches, cars, went to, I think she said 12 or 14 different schools by the time she was a senior in high school. She starts singing, great performer. She's got great control of her vibrato in big notes and in like soft, small notes. Dynamics are killing. She is killing the dynamics of just really, really big to really, 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 really soft and coming big and then just coming right off of it. Really effective. It was a moving moment. It's not the most moving moment in all of American Idol history. It's not. It's not. Again, it's moving moment. Her mom's there. And I died when her mom got the news. She's going to Hollywood. It's a big deal. And it was an extremely moving moment. But don't forget, we've got some super duper moving moments just this season, let alone all time. As just a little critique for, I guess, American Idol. I get it. They got to get us excited. They're going to push one thing in the coming next week, or make sure you watch American Idol 8/7 Central, and then they show something. They're going to amp up one person, one audition, one moment, heavy, 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 heavy. So when you're watching, you're waiting for that moment, and then they're going to put that moment at the end of the show to make sure the viewers keep watching. So I understand why they're doing it, but I just had to say, I don't think that was the most moving moment in American Idol history over the 20 years of having the show, but it was moving and she did great. Lionel had another moment where, not quite a Lionelism because it's too long, but talking about finding a crack in the wall, and this was her crack. Gosh, that got me. That got me good because it's so true. So many people in life keep hitting a wall, have so much potential and just keep hitting a wall, and they find this little crack that they get through and then everything changes. You go back to any successful artist, and that's the story for many of them, most of them probably. Luke says, I have a feeling that wasn't your best performance, and I totally agree. I wasn't blown away by her performance. Somehow I got the same feeling that she could do much better than that. Yo, the piano player is from church. The piano player is churchy because Lionel started talking after she sang, and he's talking about Zoom and the place in his life he was. All of a sudden, the piano player is like, he just started backing him up a little bit. I'm like, this piano player is from church. He is. Honestly, most great musicians have a church background. This guy's from church. I guarantee it. I got to find out who this guy is. I like him. If you want to audition for American Idol or The Voice or your choir or solo for something, let me know. BeckhamLessons@gmail.com. I can help you out. We can get on Zoom and actually go over some audition prep stuff. I'm also teaching voice technique, voice stylings. When I talk about these things like shaping the vowels, making sure you know the steps that you're taking in a run without just flinging yourself down the stairs. These are the things that I teach. Instrumentation, if you want to learn how to play piano or guitar. I'm teaching a 7-year-old little boy, and I've also been teaching a man that's in his late 70s. Anybody and everybody, people with music degrees and people who've never played piano in their life or guitar. I'm teaching songwriting, practical theory, how to arrange things, how to rearrange chords and songs, and career advice, which kind of goes in with audition prep. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. Listen, you guys have been great. Let's see these videos keep growing and growing like they are. The main thing you can do to help me is to share it yourself on your social media platforms. That's gonna help me a lot. Another big thing is to like. That helps me in the YouTube algorithm to be more visible. And subscribe also helps me a lot. You guys are awesome. I'll see you next week.